All right, everybody. Welcome. Today is February 9th, 2025, and the first live of 2025 here on According to April. I'm April Knight Copeland. I'm a motherhood content creator and journalist, and I focus on topics to help make motherhood easier for us millennial moms. If this is your first time joining, welcome. I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be a part of the crew with the mamas and papas. And today we're going to be going over some exciting ways of teaching your children about love and kindness this Valentine's Day. So if you're looking for some new tips on how to engage your children that's a little bit differently than the traditional, like making cookies and doing things like that, this will be a good live for you. So I want to first make sure that everyone can see me and hear me before we begin, just to make sure that everybody can see me and hear me. So I'm going to wait a couple of seconds, just to make sure that everything is working properly. And if it is, we will dive in to today's topic. If you see me looking off to the side, it's because my monitor is over here, okay? All right, it looks like everything is streaming properly. It looks like everything is coming up the way it's supposed to. As you join, let me know in the comments below where you are joining from, and we will get started with the first topic. So I'm going to put a theme up here so that we know where we are in the process of the video. And the first that we're going to talk about is the importance of why we should be teaching our children kindness and love during Valentine's Day. So if you have very small children, I have a 5-year-old. During the time between 5, 6, and 7, this is like the really important years as they're going into pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, where they're learning a lot of the habits that we as parents have instilled in them. And we are pushing that out to them to then now push it out to others. So it's really important that when you are in the process of showing your kids love and affection, you are doing it through ways that you bond with them. So playing with them, curating events with them, creating core memories with them, so that when they go off to school and they are interacting with other people, they can use that as a way to gauge and also pull from those experiences to interact with other children. Another reason it's so important to teach love and kindness is because if you are kind, your children will see that and they will then reciprocate that back into the world. We all know that not everybody is going to be kind to our children. Not everybody is going to be kind to us. But if we start with being kind versus not being kind, then it starts your children off with seeing not necessarily the good in people, but that how their actions can impact other people, if that makes sense. The final part of why it is so important to have kindness for not only teaching your children, but also you be kind, is that your children will also act the way that you treat them. So if you treat them kindly, they will reciprocate and treat you kindly too. I know at 5, 6, and 7, they're going through a lot emotionally. They're learning to regulate their feelings. They're getting into like quite a bit of kerfuffles at school with like, no, this is mine, and snatching and things like that. And we'll go into the second phase of love and kindness for kids. But it's just really important that if you're displaying that type of behavior for them, they will reciprocate that too. Because if you're kind, when they speak about you to teachers and their friends, they will always pull positive things about you to say to other people, and that in turn will, especially with teachers and other people who really pay attention and who spend a lot of time with our children, they'll notice that if you are a kind parent, your children will speak positively about you. It's not going to always be rainbows, obviously, but there'll be things that your children will say that won't send off like red flags, like, oh, Johnny's not talking about how his mom, you know, drags him down the steps, things like that, you know. So that's the first reason why bonding with your children, and it starts with you and your child's relationship as to how they're able to enact kindness for themselves as well as other people. The second phase that we're going into when it comes to kindness is sharing. Sharing is so important. This is the phase of where the kindness and love actually exudes from your children. So when we talk about sharing, we're talking about things like when they're playing with other children, are they aware of that they've had the toy too long? Are they aware that it's okay to give things to other people because they will receive it back? Sometimes if children are not secure or they don't feel loved, they will enact that in other people. So when they're going into situations where they have to enter the general population and they're with their classmates, they will tend to have things become more resourceful to them. It's something that dogs also do too a little bit, where when they possess something that they really think is theirs, they become really selfish and protective over it and they don't want to share. It happens with children too, where if they have an item, they want to play with it, they don't want to release it because they're not sure if it will come back to them. This is one of the major reasons to bond with them, so that they know that if they let something go, something better is going to come, or it will come back to them. The teacher will also help reinforce this as well in class. So sometimes your teacher will tell you that your child might have had an incident with the student because they were playing with the toy and they were pulling and tugging, and all that is the natural ebbs and flows of just childhood development. But if you find that your child has a really hard time of letting things go, like saying goodbye to people, that is where sharing becomes a part of, okay, what is missing? Why can't they share? What is it about this object or this item or this event or this person that lets you know that they're not able to share these things with other people? If you have an only child, like my child is an only child, it's really important to display sharing as well. Unlike children that have siblings, only children knows that the universe really revolves around them. And so teaching them how to share out is going to be super important, because there will be instances where things don't revolve around them. They can't have everything. So instilling that too, that sometimes you have to give something away, even if it's only yours, it's going to be really important as they develop and as they transition into higher grades. If you are looking for some important resources, I have a few books that I want to share. So we're going to go into the book segment of this. And these books, they're not the conventional type of lovey-dovey books. These are books that my husband and I read to our son all the time, that really talks about how love and kindness can show up in different ways. I will link a list of all the books that relate to love and kindness in the live after this is over, just so that you can pick from as many books as you want. But the very first book that I like is I Am Smart, I Am Blessed, I Can Do Anything. This is by a Black author. It's a really good way to support Black people during Black History Month, okay? And this book really shows the child that you are capable of doing anything, but it starts with the parent making sure that they're pouring affirmations and building the confidence within their child. It's a really good book if you are looking or interested in books to help with self-esteem. This is a really good way of teaching your child love. And I think it's a really good way of showing that love can start internally. It comes from external sources like your family as well. And again, it's a really good book to support Black authors during Black History Month. The second book is Big New Friend. This is Clifford the Big Red Dog. And this just talks about how Clifford and his friend, they were hearing rumblings about this whale, and people were like, I'm not sure who it is. I don't know what it's about. And the whale kept hiding because they were unsure. And so it takes you on an adventure of how Clifford discovers the whale. They have a lot in common and they befriend each other. So this is another way of showing kindness, where you might encounter people who are different than you, but as you start to get to know them, you realize you have a lot of things in common. It's so important for children, especially as we're going through the phases where children who might have visible disabilities, it'll become more obvious to them as they matriculate higher into grades. So it's really important to establish that if people look different than you, you are still supposed to be kind to them. Even if other people aren't, you can be kind, and you can really shape how people view themselves, view other people, just making a friend. And this is base level. Obviously, we know that, again, not everyone is going to lead with kindness, but teaching your children that leading with kindness will get them a lot further than not is a good way of celebrating Valentine's Day. And the last book that I think is a classic that everybody, regardless of their age, is The Little Engine That Could. Everybody reads this book because it's about perseverance, how kindness from others and the love for the little engine's ambition to finish what they wanted to do is a good example of showing your children perseverance. And again, I'm going to show all the books. So I Am Smart, I Am Blessed, I Can Do Anything by Black author for Black History Month. Clifford, Big New Friend, and then The Little Engine That Could are really good books to give for your children. You can read them to them. You should be reading to your kids, have your kids read them to you. It's a really good way, again, of bonding during this Valentine's Day. So I hope that this was very helpful. Let me know in the comments if you want to talk about anything else regarding Valentine's Day. I do have a video up about craft ideas that are easy that you and your children can do, and I will link to that as well. Thank you so much again for joining me for this quick YouTube live on 2025. I'm April Knight Copeland of accordingtoapril.com, and I will see you all next week with another motherhood topic so that us moms can master motherhood. I hope you have a great Sunday. Go Birds, and I will see you next week.